Pop quiz, hotshots. In the game of love, is it better to play and make decisions with your heart or your mind? Let's address that next. Part of your journey to develop your game is recognizing the battle between your heart and mind. On one side, you have your heart, and it's influenced by emotions, feelings, and sensitivity. On the other side, you have the mind, and it's influenced by facts, logic, and reason. The mind side is the one that you're nurturing with your development of your game, because you're learning to see and understand more of actually what's going on, and you're better understanding what are the better and lesser actions. Whether you know it or not, or whether you like it or not, your heart and mind are constantly battling. So which side do you think should win between the battle of the heart and the mind? I believe the answer is neither. The two need to work together, but perfect balance isn't necessary. Instead, I think there should be conscious balance, meaning consciously maybe putting your finger on the scale once in a while on either side. Because the heart is definitely important, right? It's got to stick around. But so is the mind, so they both have to stick around. We all have default settings that are a little bit or a lot more heart or mind. That's neither good nor bad or right or wrong, it just is. But in certain situations, it is advantageous to be a little bit more mind or a little bit more heart. In learning game, you might think it's all about choosing the right strategy that allows you to win. Or you might think it's about just stacking the odds in favor of greater success. It is, but it isn't, because what game is really about is giving you greater power of choice. Because sometimes the best decision for you, the best path for you, is that logical choice. But sometimes you need to overpower your logic because it doesn't align with you, and instead you need to follow your heart because you could be logical, but it wouldn't be who you are. You need to have that power of choice to bounce between your mind and your heart depending on what best serves you. You might think of it as having two backseat drivers that are quarreling and trying to boss you around, telling you which direction to go in. But ultimately, it's your responsibility who you're going to listen to. But you need to be aware of these dynamics because whether you're more heart or more mind, you have to take control once in a while and override the system, taking a left when normally you take a right. Because you can't always do what you've always done, or you'll always get the same results. So once in a while, you do have to mix it up. You want to develop the ability to turn the volume up or down on either the heart or the mind, because in different situations, one might be at an advantage or it could be a disadvantage. Ultimately, you have to take control because you need to make the heart and the mind work for you and not against you. Consider when your heart is running the show and the volume is turned up way too high, emotions can make you chaotic, and this can be an issue for you or others, because emotions cloud the mind with ideas and delusion. Emotions can overpower logic, reason, and sound decision-making thoughts. So understand, emotional decisions and actions often become regrets, like saying or doing things that you wish you hadn't. Now let me give you some recommendations to combat your emotions. The first is time. Time will naturally dissolve your emotional state. You just can't hold on to it forever. The second is sleep. Sleep basically follows along with time, but you're unconscious, and you understand that you can go to bed and you just don't wake up in the same emotional state when you have had a night's sleep or a nap. And the third example is venting. Find a safe place, a friend, someone who can just allow you to get whatever's out without any harm, without any foul. And then there's meditation, something that I really recommend to everyone because it'll do so much, but especially it'll help you combat and overcome your challenging emotions because that's part of what it really does. It really allows you to get in your head and take more control, as well as, of course, the relaxation benefits. And then there's distraction. Find something that you find interesting and some activity that you like or whatever can just occupy your mind or your energy and allow that to just use up your mind, use up your energy instead of whatever you're emotional about. And then you can also use that energy for exercise, which I'd recommend because it's bang for your buck. I mean, you want to get rid of energy, exercise. And then last, let me finish with logic, because if you want to combat and overcome emotions, one great strategy is to break down what you're emotional about through logic. If you continually break it down piece by piece in a logical approach, you will realize that it takes away a lot of the power and it breaks down a lot of the things and puts things in perspective, allowing you to better combat and overcome that emotional state. Understand sometimes the right decision is your emotional decision and not the logical decision, because what's right for you is actually very subjective. So what I want to remind you is just that Think of those backseat drivers. Now you can listen to them and you can listen to your heart and all the input it gives you, but you still have to be the driver. You have to take responsibility for the direction and who you're listening to and where you're going to go. Now when the volume is too high on your mind side, logic and reason can make you machine-like, robotic, and inauthentic. And this is just as bad as just letting the heart just run crazy. Understand that between the heart and mind, neither is right or wrong, neither is better or worse. It depends on the situation, but you have to take control. An investment to better control your balance of heart and mind is something that'll pay off for a lifetime, because the person who can better balance and control their heart and mind is someone who has a very attractive quality, both socially and romantically. And your mastery or lack of it can either be a relationship developer or a relationship destroyer, even with yourself. I love the Star Trek example because we know the characters really well. We know Spock and we know Captain Kirk, and we know that Spock, he's not the ladies' man. That's Captain Kirk, who's basically, well, you know that he's very much a mixture of heart and mind, but which way does he lean? Definitely towards the heart, right? He's always making those rash decisions, following his heart, following his gut, not really thinking logical. That's not him. But pay attention. A man is really in touch with his heart side. And guess who's the ladies' man of the show in the movie? Captain Kirk. In contrast, Spock is basically this extreme rationalist who's almost devoid of feelings because he's half Vulcan, and that makes him really struggle with emotional intelligence. Now, he's really good for war, but you wouldn't mistake him for Mr. Popularity or ladies' man. Instead, that title goes to James T. Kirk, who bounces around between being emotional and being rational, so he's balancing and going back and forth between the heart and the mind. The ability to better control and offer conscious balance to the battle of the heart and mind, it's something that is going to be rewarded in the game of life and especially in the game of love.